Hello guys. For our last module in our mobile application development course, our discussion is regarding how to create a simple um, quiz application, okay, using MIT App Inventor. So this will be the sample mobile application that I'll be demonstrating for today, okay? So I'll be showing you kung paano po natin gagawin itong sample quiz app na to using MIT App Inventor, okay? Using the different types of blocks and components that MIT App Inventor has, and we'll also be implementing the Firebase database, okay, to store the first name, last name, session, and score of the student that will be taking the quiz. Again, no? So this is creating a very simple na quiz application. So I'll just demonstrate sa inyo what will be the expected output once you finish or once we finish this module. So upon opening up the application, so this will be the user interface that you'll be seeing, no? So we have three uh, text box in here that the user needs to fill up. So we have the first name, okay, last name, and the section, okay. So let's say for example, if we'll be filling up the first name, so let's say example natin Juan de la Cruz. Okay, so you'll be able to type down your name and let's say your section. So let's say for example, I'll be using BSIT 1A as the section. Okay, so below the text boxes, we have these two buttons. We have the start quiz button and the exit button. Okay, so let's say for example, if I'll be clicking the exit button, of course, the mobile application will be terminating. Okay, so let's try to open the mobile application again. Okay, then if we fill up, let's say we fill up your um, first name, okay, again, no, we'll be using Juan de la Cruz as the name that we'll be using for this application. Okay. Okay, now so let's say for example, we did not include the section in the data that we've added, no? So if I'll be clicking yung ating start quiz button, okay, so it will be displaying a simple message in here. So it displays that incomplete details. Okay, so basically, one of the fields, okay, or let's say one of the text boxes didn't have the data, okay, to be inputted in the form to be, again, no, to be saved on our database. So let's say, for example, we'll be providing a section, okay, so let's say, for example, I'll be using BSIT 1A and um, click the start quiz button, okay, will be prompted with a quiz. Okay, for this demonstration, no, I'll only be using three questions for the demonstration. So for the first question, who is the Philippine national hero? So the answer that uh, I've added in here is Jose Rizal. Okay, so let's say I'll be typing down Jose Rizal as the answer. In here, you have two buttons. Okay, so you have the submit button and the next button. So in order for you to record the score or to record your answer, you need to click the submit button. Okay, upon clicking submit, okay, the mobile application will determine if your answer is correct or wrong. Okay, so let's say for example, in this particular instance, no, correct naman yung answer ko, so it will be labeled as correct. So once na you're done with the question, you'll click the next button, then you'll be proceeded with the next question. So for question number 2, what is the latest version of Android operating system? Let's say for example, I'll be adding 12 in here. The correct answer for this question is Android 12. So if you click submit, okay, it will be determining whether the question A or or your answer is correct or wrong. So in this particular instance, it's wrong. So the correct answer here is Android 12. If I'll be clicking next, okay, you'll be proceeding to the next question. So let's say, for example, how many inches are there in 5 feet? So let's say, for example, the correct answer is 60. I'll type 60 inches. Okay. And I'll click submit. So this is the correct answer for this question. No? So if I'll be clicking next, okay, it will be prompting me the total scores that I had dun sa quiz na yun, no? So let's say for example in here, my score is 2 over 3 and it will be checking whether I passed the score or I passed the quiz or not. Okay? So you'll also have the exit button. So let's say for example, let's repeat the quiz, no? So I'll be just adding a dummy for the details in here. I'll start quiz. Okay, so let's say for example, I'll only be getting the correct answer, or let's say for example in here, I'll just be adding Jose. Click submit. It's wrong. Next, correct answer in here is Android 12. I'll click submit. That's correct. Next. So in here, I'll be just adding 60. Submit and click next. Okay. So as you can see, my score is 1/3, and the mobile application will be labeling the quiz as failed. Okay. So this is basically a really simple uh, quiz application that you can do, no? So let's demonstrate kung paano natin gagawin itong mobile application na to. Okay? So, we'll be proceeding to MIT App Inventor. Okay? So, ayan no, let's create the uh, application. So, let me just delete this one. Okay, so what we'll be doing now ngayon guys is we'll be just first creating a really simple version muna ng ating mobile application, no? But later we'll be fulfilling the other features. As of the moment, let's try to create a really simple example. Now, dun sa mobile application that I demonstrated, no? So, I've used three virtual screens in here. So, meaning I've used three layouts to create this mobile application. Now, ang gagawin ko niyan ngayon is instead of creating actual screens, no, I'll be just creating virtual screens. Now, paano natin gagawin yon? We'll be using layout. So, you can proceed to layout, no? Then we'll be using itong mga arrangements na to or as it was discussed from our module 5 from last week, no? So, for this particular example, I'll be using vertical arrangement. Okay? So, for this particular instance, no, I'll be using three vertical arrangements. So, let's just set up. So, ano ba yung gagawin natin for these vertical arrangements? So, first is, what I'll be doing is, I'll be selecting the visibility ng ating vertical arrangement 1 and vertical arrangement 2. So, hide ko muna sila. Okay, so now what I'll be doing is I'll be setting yung height and width nitong mga vertical arrangements na to, no? For the vertical arrangement of all of these arrangements, we'll be using fill parent. Okay? So, ngayon, hinide ko lang yung dalawa na yun para basically makita ko kung ano yung magiging itsura kapag naka-fill parent siya, no? So, you can double check. Okay? So, eto naman yung gawin nating invisible. We'll be proceeding to vertical arrangement 2. I'll be checking its fill parent for the height and width. Okay? Then, we'll be doing the same procedure para dun sa vertical arrangement 1 natin. Okay? Let's just check. Ayan siya. If i-visible natin yung tatlo, okay, so as you can see, ito po yung makikita natin na ano, we'll be having three vertical arrangements in here. So, for the mobile application na gagawin natin, no, something like this, let's say this is the final virtual screen na ginamit natin. So, ang gagamitin ko ngayon is si vertical arrangement tree for this layout. Okay? So, let's say for example, yung layout naman for yung simpleng login natin, you'll be adding your first name, last name, and section. We'll be using vertical arrangement 1 to create itong user interface na to. Then, yung vertical arrangement 2, ito naman yung gagamitin natin for the quiz, kung saan magdi-display yung mga questions natin and the submit and next button. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin ngayon yan is we'll be working with vertical arrangement 2. So, si vertical arrangement 1, i-hide ko muna yon using the visibility property, same as with vertical arrangement 3. So, dito muna tayo kay vertical arrangement 2. Okay, so first thing that I'll be doing now is mag-upload muna ako ng ano. I'll be uploading an image. So, let's say for example, this gradient, okay? So, I'll just click OK. So, para ma-upload natin yung image, no? Then, I'll be adding the background nitong ating vertical arrangement dito sa image. Itong image na to ang gagamitin natin for the background. So, let's say for example, let's select the gradient.png, no? So, para maging we can set it as its background. So kayo na bahala if um what type of image yung gagamitin nyo as your background. So we'll be using this background all throughout nitong tatlong vertical arrangement na to. So we can have a consistent background all throughout the different virtual screens that we will have in this mobile application. Okay. So now what we'll be doing is we'll be adding na yung ating mga tawag dito, we'll be adding the user interface components for our mobile application. So first is we'll be setting yung ating label. So ayan siya. Then, before you proceed sa pag-add nung iba pang mga components dito, no, make sure na yung ating alignment dito, our align horizontal, is in the center. Okay? For this particular instance, okay, make sure na naka-center tayo para lahat nung um, user interface components natin are in the middle. So, ang gagawin ko for this first label, no, I'll be changing its font size. Let's say, for example, we'll be using 25 and bold uh for the label. Tapos let's change its text. So let's say quiz questions. Okay? So let's say for example, ito na yan, no? Then what's next is we'll be adding a space in between nung ating quiz questions nun sa susunod. Okay, so ang gagawin natin yan ngayon is we'll be adding another text label, okay? Pero in this particular instance, hindi tayo maglalagay ng label para dun sa text niya. No? We'll be just using this as a spacer. So paano po natin gagawin yon? We'll be changing its height into a percent. So let's say for example, i-change natin yung height niya into let's say around 5 or 10%. So let's try yung 5%, no? Okay, gagamitin ko lang yun as a spacer para merong konting space dito para sa susunod. Okay, so ano ngayon yung susunod na ilalagay ko dito? I'll be adding the next label. So dito natin ngayon ilalagay yung inyong text. Or sorry, yung ating question. So for this particular instance, we'll be changing in our font size to 25, no? Tapos, ang next natin gagawin ngayon will be, sabihin na natin, will be changing, or alisin natin itong label for the text. Okay? So, I'll be just deleting itong text na nandito. Okay, nandyan yan. Okay, so you can see meron tayong green na box dito. Nandyan lang yan. So, ang i-display po kasi natin dyan will be yung questions na kukunin natin from the list that we'll be doing later. So, dyan po natin siya i-display. So, once na okay na yan, no, we'll be proceeding dun sa next user interface component natin. So, that will be our text box. So, para saan ngayon itong text box na to? We'll be using this text box, okay, guys, for, syempre, simply to add nung user yung ating, yung kanyang answer for the question. Okay? So, ito po yung mga components natin, no? So, as of the moment, we have 3 labels and 1 text box. Now, ang gagawin po natin ngayon, we'll be adding our buttons. Okay? But before we proceed yung dalawang buttons natin, no, we'll be adding a layout. We'll be using yung horizontal layout kasi ang gagawin natin, dalawang magkatabi sa gilid yung ating mga buttons. So, I'll be adding a horizontal layout, no? So, what I'll be doing next is, syempre, we add your buttons na. Yung button nyo ngayon is make sure na i-add nyo siya dun sa loob ng inyong virtual arrangement. Makikita nyo naman meron nag-highlight na color na line na color blue kung saan papasok yung inyong mga elements, no? So, ayan siya. So, we have our 2 buttons in here. Okay. So, what's next? Ang magiging next na component natin yan ngayon, okay, is we'll be adding now yung ating labels again, no? To determine if the answer is correct or the answer is wrong. So, again, we'll be proceeding with label. For this label, ilalabas nyo na siya dun sa kinreate nyo na horizontal alignment. Okay? Kasi pababa na ulit ito. We'll be adding your labels in here. Okay? So, we'll be adding, let's say, 3 labels. So, para saan ngayon itong 3 labels na to? For the label number 4, let's just modify yung ating settings or properties dito. I'll be changing it to 25. Yung font, palitan natin ng bold. Same as with this one. 25. Gawin natin bold. And for the label number 6, same din. Gawin natin itong 25. and gawin nating bold. Okay, so para saan ngayon ulit yan? So first, si label number 4, ito yung gagamitin natin na text to display sa user if yung answer niya is correct. Okay, yung label number 6 naman, ito yung gagamitin natin to display sa user na yung answer niya is wrong. Okay? Ayan siya. Now, ang next natin ngayon na ilalagay dito will be yung label para sa score. Okay, yung label natin for the score, hindi tayo maglalagay ng text dyan kasi ang gusto natin mangyari is i-compute natin doon sa mga blocks later yung score, tapos dito natin siya i-display using this label. Okay, so ang gawin natin is let's just create some modifications, no? So let's say for example, I'll just add a background color or palitan natin yung text color nitong dalawa na to. If it's correct, kukulayan ko siya ng green, and if it's wrong, kukulayan natin siya ng, let's say, a red. Okay? So, ngayon, let's create yung buttons pala natin. Nakalimutan natin lagyan ng label. So, yung buttons natin ngayon, this is the submit button. Okay, then yung second button natin, this is for the next. Okay, so gawan na rin natin sila ng konting modification, no? So, let's bold natin yung text. Let's change the background color. So, let's say green. Then for the next, different color naman. So, let's try orange. Okay. Then, gawin din natin bold yung text. Lakihan kaya, I'll be resizing the text. Okay. So, same as with the submit button. Okay. So, let's say, eto na yung ating user interface, no? So, let's just preview it using using yung ating mobile application. So, here is yung aking emulator. So, hanapin lang natin si App Inventor, then I'll be connecting it via USB. Okay, so resize ko lang ng konti ito so we can see yung ating ayan, so let's just wait kung magko-connect siya. Okay, so ito na ngayon yung itsura ng ating simple mobile application, no? So ano bang pwede natin gawin dito? So let's say for example, habaan siguro natin ng konti yung ating text box. Let's change its width. So for this particular example, no, we'll be using percent. So let's say around 50%. Click natin. Okay. So I believe okay na to or masyado malaki yung space natin dito sa taas. I'll be changing yung baba na lang natin itong question na to. So what I'll be doing is let's duplicate this one. Or ilagay na lang ako ng panibagong label dito sa taas. Okay? Then listen natin ito. Then let's change its height to around 5%. Okay, so ito ngayon yung ating simpleng mobile application, no? So ngayon ang mangyayari dito is the question will be displayed in here. Okay, dito magdi-display yung question natin. Ito ngayon yung ating text box for the answer, no? Then you have your buttons, then yung label natin for the correct and wrong. So ang gawin lang natin for the text box is I'll be removing the hint or i-label natin siguro answer. Okay? So ayan, answer, no? Then tawag dito, the label for the correct and wrong, i-hide natin ito. So, we'll be showing na lang ito later once na nandun na tayo sa mga blocks natin. But before we do that pala, no, for the labels, rename lang natin ng konti ito para we're familiar kung para saan yung mga components natin. So, let's say ito, spacer 1, ibig sabihin nito, this is just, alam nyo yun, just creating the space para dun sa ating mobile application. Okay? So, this could be the fastest way na pwede tayo mag-create ng mga blank spaces na to. So, for label number 1, so let's say ito, let's just rename to quiz label. Pinapalitan ko lang ito ngayon, guys, no. So, once na nandoon na tayo sa tawag dito, sa blocks mamaya, we'll know kung alin yung para saan yung mga ano na yan, yung mga components na yan. So, for this one, I'll be renaming this to answer. Then, ito is submit. This is for the next. Okay, so this is the label for correct. This is label for the wrong. And lastly, itong label number 6 na naka-hide natin, this is for the score. Okay, no? Again, i-hide ko na itong wrong na to and itong correct na to. So, this is the user interface that we'll be expecting, no? So, yung quiz dito, the question in here, ito yung text box natin for the answer, then you have your submit button and the next button. Okay? So, now we'll be proceeding na dun sa ating blocks. Okay? So, ngayon, for the blocks, ito yung gagawin natin ngayon. Okay? So, first is, before tayo mag-proceed dun sa functionalities ng ating mga buttons, no? First is, we'll create muna yung ating mga questions. So, paano natin gagawin yon? For creating the questions, okay, we'll be using yung tinatawag natin na list. So, dito, we have your list, di ba? Okay. So, ang gagawin natin ngayon is we'll be using itong mga list na to. Pero, before you create a list, ang gagawin natin is ipapasok natin sila into a variable. So, ang gagawin po natin is we'll be using a global variable. So, ito, let's say this one. Initialize global name. So, yan po yung gagamitin natin. Okay? So, again, no, ipapasok po natin sa variable yung ating mga questions, okay, using a list. So, ayan siya. So, initialize global variable. So, tapos, create tayo ng list. Ngayon, dito, we'll be changing yung name ng ating variable. So, let's say, for example, so, question list. Ayan siya ngayon. Now, so, let's say, for example, how many questions nga yung gusto nyo ilagay. So, dito yan depende. Okay, so for this particular example, yung list na to, it can accommodate 2 entries. So, ang gawin natin, let's try to create the third item. Ayan siya. No? Kung gusto nyo dagdagan, gusto nyo gawing 5, 10, nasa sa inyo, just add the number of items dito sa list na to. Okay? Tapos, ang gagawin po natin is, syempre, we'll be needing a placeholder na mag-hold ng inyong mga question. So, we'll be using itong text na to. Okay? So, add tayo ngayon ng question. So, let's say, question number 1. Okay? Sabihin na natin, what is the shape of the Earth? Okay? So, let's say, ito yung question natin. Okay? So, ang gagawin ko, I'll just copy this one. Ilagay natin dito. Then, I'll be just renaming yan. Or I'll be changing the value. So, let's say, question na ngayon, what is the color of the ocean? Okay? Then, for question number 3, okay, ano bang question natin? How heavy is a sack of rice? Ayan, mga simple questions, no? Ayan, so ngayon, we already have your list. You have your questions, okay? Ngayon, syempre, if these are questions, we need to provide the answers. So, we'll be just using the same procedure, no? We'll be creating a variable that will be holding the answers for the initial variable, global variable, para dito sa list na to. So, ngayon, ang gagawin naman natin dito is instead of the question list, this is your answer list. Okay? So, for this particular instance, no, make sure na kung yung first question dito, yun din yung magiging equivalent na answer dito. Para later, kapag i-call natin itong mga questions na to, or itong mga list na to, yung first item dito and first item dito will be corresponding dun sa answer ng question dito. Okay, so let's say for example, for question number 1, what is the shape of Earth? So, let's say sphere, no? Wala naman siguro sasagot dito na flat. Okay? For question number 2, let's say we'll be adding yung blue na answer. And for question number 3, let's say 50 kilos. Yung lagay natin na answer. Okay. So, ngayon, in here, we've created two lists. Okay, one list for the question and one list for the answer. So, ayan siya ngayon. So, itong dalawang list na to, okay, in-initialize natin sila as a global variable. Okay, para kung halimbawa we want to access itong questions na to or itong mga answers na to doon sa ibang screens or virtual screens, we'll able to do that. Okay, now what's next? We'll also be declaring additional two more variables. Okay, so we'll be creating two global variables pa. Okay, so let's just add itong dalawa na to. So para saan ngayon itong dalawang next na to? Okay, so yung third variable natin is the question number. So ito ngayon yung variable na gagamitin natin, okay, para ma-monitor natin kung nasa ang question na tayo dito. Okay? So let's say for example, gusto natin makuha si question number 2, ay ito yung variable ngayon na gagamitin natin. Now, the value that we'll be adding for this one, we'll initialize it as question number 1 para yung start lagi will be on this question. If gusto nyo mag-shuffle yan, you can create a function na lang dito mamaya or a method that will be shuffling the questions. So, for this particular example, no, we'll just be creating a very simple quiz application. So, sequential lang tayo. Tatlo lang naman yung question natin. Okay? So, the next variable that we'll be adding ngayon will be the score. So, the score, okay, we'll be recording the score kasi later, okay, we'll be checking whether yung user natin is nakapasa siya dun sa quiz based on his score and dun sa number of items natin or an item of questions. So, ang value na ilalagay natin for the score, we'll set it initially as 0. Okay, so these are the variables na gagamitin natin yan ngayon. Okay? So, now, so what we'll be doing next? So, what we'll be doing next now is we'll be creating na yung ating mga questions. Okay? So, paano ba yung sa mga questions natin, no? So, let's say for example, upon starting nung ating mobile application, there is already a question tapos pwede na tayo maglagay na answer, di ba? So, what we'll be doing now is proceed tayo with screen 1. Okay, so upon initialize or when screen 1 is initialized, ang gagawin natin is i-ready natin ngayon itong mga questions na to, ipapasok natin sila papunta ngayon dun sa label na ngayon na ito. Okay, so I'll be using this label, si questions. Okay, so hanapin natin ngayon si set questions.text. Kasi kanina, this is a label, di ba? Wala tayong nilagay na text para dito, naka-blanco lang siya. Isa-set natin siya ngayon. So, that will be this one, set question.text. Okay, so ngayon, ang gagawin natin ngayon is kukunin natin yung mga questions na yun from a list. So, paano natin gagawin yun? So, punta tayo ngayon dito kay list. So, hahanapin natin select item from or select item list. Okay. Ngayon, so ilalagay natin yan dito. So, for the item list, okay, so this will be yung mga questions natin and yung parameter na ilalagay natin for the index will be yung kanyang question number. Okay, so halimbawa, ilalagay natin yung variable na to, itong question list na to. Okay, so you can hover dito sa variable na to, tapos meron siyang get and set, no, we'll be using get. So, kukunin niya ngayon yung mga questions from this list. Ayan siya. Ngayon, alin dito sa tatlo yung kukunin niya? Okay? Dito ngayon papasok itong variable na to. So, itong variable na to, kukunin din natin yung get global question number, ilalagay natin yan dito. So, if makikita nyo, kapag initialize, ibig sabihin kapag in-start up yung application, okay, kukunin niya ngayon yung variable na to that holds multiple questions. Okay, ang tanong is, anong questions dun sa tatlo na yun? Aling question dun sa multiple na yun? Kukunin niya yung index. Ano ba ang value ng index natin? Yung global question number. Ang initial value niya is 1. So, ibig sabihin, kukunin niya ngayon itong question number 1. So, kapag niya nakuha niya na yan, isa-set niya ngayon yung text ng label na to, this question, para dito. Okay? So, kapag ka-load natin ng application, nakikita agad natin yung question number 1. So, ito yung gagawin nitong part na to. Okay? So, again, no, yung mga steps na ginawa natin as of the moment is basically nag-create tayo ng list, one for the question and one for the answer. Then, we've created two variables na gagamitin natin. So, yung question number, ito yung magmamanipulate kung anong question dito out of the list. And this one naman is for the recording of the score. So, ano ang gagawin natin yan ngayon? Di ba, we have two buttons, okay? So, balikan natin. So, we have submit and we have next. So, ngayon, yung dalawang buttons na yun, syempre, lalagyan natin sila ngayon ng functionality. Okay, so, ano yung gagawin natin? So, let's start first with the click. So, you can scroll down dito. So, sorry, hindi pala click. Let's start with the submit button. Okay, so, eto ngayon yung dalawang button natin. We have submit and we have next. So, ano ngayon yung gagawin ni submit? Ang gagawin ni submit ngayon is i-check niya if correct yung answer natin. Okay, yung next ngayon, siya yung pipili ng next question natin, si question number 2. Okay? So, start muna tayo kay submit. So, ano ba yan? It's a button, no? So, most of the time, anong klaseng trigger yung gagamitin natin? You can select click, got focus, long click, long focus, touch down, touch up. So, these are the different type of triggers that you can use for your mobile application. So, ang gagawin natin is I'll be using click. Okay, kasi i-click natin yung button eh. That will be the trigger that will be adding, no? So, ngayon, for the click, ano ba ang gagawin natin? Now, we'll be creating a conditional statement nito. So, ano ba yan? So, paano ba gumawa ng conditional statement? We'll be proceeding with control. Okay, so, ang gagamitin natin is if-else. So, ipapasok natin yan dito sa loob, no? So, ang gagawin natin yan ngayon is we'll be checking kung ano ngayon yung question na meron. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin is, halimbawa, naka-display na tong question na to, no? So, we'll just check kung ano yung current na question ngayon para ma-determine natin kung ano yung equivalent na answer. So, we'll be proceeding with math. Kukunin natin yung equality, yung changing, or yung comparing ng dalawang values na to, no? Ito yung ilalagay natin. So, the condition ngayon is kukunin natin yung text box natin. Okay. So, asan ngayon yung text box natin? So, ito ngayon yung ating mga components na nilagay. So, dito tayo ngayon sa answer. Okay. Kasi kukunin natin ngayon, i-compare natin ngayon yung tinype ni user, okay, dun sa answer na in-specify natin dito. Okay. So, halimbawa, answer, kukunin natin yung text box.text para makuha natin yung laman ng text box. So, asan na ba yun? Answer.text. Okay, this is answer.text. Ito ngayon yung kukuha ng value ng laman ng text box natin. So, ipapasok natin yan dito and we'll be comparing now it dun sa value nung answer na naka-assign for that question. Okay, so initially, naka-set yung yung question natin to question number 1, no? So, ang gagawin ko ngayon, paano natin i-compare yan? Siyempre, we'll be creating a list. Okay. So, yung list na gagamitin natin is select list. So, eto ngayon yung select list. For the select list, dito natin ngayon i-identify, okay, or dito natin ipapares ngayon yung answer list tsaka yung question number. Halimbawa, yung question number natin initially is question number 1. Okay. So, kapag question number 1 yan, kung tiningnan natin, dito sa question list natin, this is the first answer. Okay? Tapos, ang gagawin ngayon is i-check yun ngayon dun sa, i-compare natin ngayon yung naka-assign na question number dito sa answer list. Okay? So, halimbawa, question number is 1. So, ano ba equivalent na answer para dun sa question na to? So, kukunin natin yun from the answer list dito. So, paano natin gagawin yun, no? We'll be getting yung mga variables natin. First, we'll get yung global answer list kasi ayan, dito natin kukunin yung answer. Giget natin yan, ipapasok natin yan dito sa list. Okay, tapos ipapasok rin natin yung global question number na variable natin. Okay, so halimbawa, ito. get. Okay, so kung halimbawa, ang number 1 from these answers is ito, 1. That is sphere. That is the correct answer. So, kukunin natin, again, no, select item list, kunin natin yung global answer list, ito yung variable na yan, alin dito sa tatlo, etong question number. So, question number 1, ito siya, sa sphere. Ipapasok mo yan dito, ang gagawin ngayon is i-compare yung tinype ni user dito sa answer na to, which is sphere. Okay? Kapag equal siya, ano ang gagawin? So, i-display na natin yung correct na answer or yung label na correct. Kanina, meron tayo dito, ito yung correct na to, i-visible ko lang. Kailangan lumitaw ito. Okay? Ngayon, naka-hide siya kasi wala pa naman nilalagay na correct answer or wrong answer yung user natin. So, mangyayari, kapag equal itong value na to, yung tinype ni user dito, sa question, answer ng question na to, okay, so anong gagawin? Isa-set natin yung visibility ngayon nung correct to true para mag-display siya. Asan ngayon yung correct? So, this is correct. Hanapin natin ngayon dito yung visibility. Nasaan yung visibility? Okay. Set correct visible. So, kukunin natin ito ngayon. Okay? Tapos, as you can see, it will be requiring an argument or a parameter. So, ang parameter na gagamitin natin dyan is either true or false. So, let's say for example, gusto nating iset nga yung visibility, gusto natin siya makita, we'll be using the value na true. Then, isa-set natin yan dun sa then. This is your conditional statement. Kapag nag-true yung conditional statement natin, ito ngayon yung i-execute niya. Okay? So, now, once na okay na to, okay, hindi pa tayo tapos dyan. Why? Kasi kailangan na natin ma-manipulate ito ngayon. Itong mapalitan yung value ng question number natin. Kasi kung hindi natin papalitan yung value, every time na mag-i-input ng answer si user sa kahit anong number, ang kukunin lang niya lagi na answer is sphere. So, ang gagawin natin, mag-i-increment tayo para pumunta siya dun sa susunod, sa blue. So, paano natin yan gagawin ngayon? So, gagamitin natin yung set. Okay? So, now, kapag kinlik natin ito, hinover pala natin yung question number, meron tayong makikitang set. So, itong set na to ang gagamitin natin to change the value of your variable. So, drag ko to ngayon, lalagay natin dito sa then. Okay, so ang gagawin natin ngayon is mag-add tayo, okay, mag-add tayo ngayon, or, mali pala. Ang gagawin pala natin muna, okay, gagawin muna natin ngayon is ano muna natin yung answer or yung score pala natin, sorry. After nating iset yung yung tawag dito, after natin i-compare yung value, i-display yung correct, so babaguhin natin ngayon yung score. So paano 'yon? Maglagay tayo ngayon ng score. So paano tayo maglalagay ng score, no? So isa-set natin yung global score. Papalitan natin siya from 0. Okay, dapat maging 1 na yung ating global na score. So, paano natin gagawin yon? So, kuha tayo dito sa math nung addition natin. Lagay natin dito. Then, we'll be getting yung ating global variable. Or yung ating score. So, get natin yung global score or yung score na variable. Or set pala to. Be using get. Okay, so get global score. Tapos, magpa-plus tayo ng 1. Okay, so grab natin to. Plus 1 yan. Okay, so yan yung gagawin natin for now. So, what's next, no? Ang gawin natin ngayon is, let's say for example, mali yung tinype niya. Anong mangyayari? So, ang i-show naman natin should be the wrong. Okay, so kakopy ko na lang ito ngayon. Pwede nyo nang i-copy yan kasi meron naman drop-down selection dito to select kung anong label yan. So, ang gagawin ko, I'll be selecting wrong. Okay, tapos, yung sa visibility natin ngayon, so anong mangyayari? Let's say, mali yung sagot niya. Gagawin natin visible ngayon si wrong. Okay, kung tama ang sagot niya, ang gagawin natin visible is correct. Kung mali ang sagot niya, yung wrong ang gagawin natin na visible. Okay? So, ang gawin natin ngayon is, let's check. Ay, eto na. So, as you can see, no? It already refreshed or it already displayed the question, no? So, gamit ito. So, check lang natin if yung click button natin, or sorry, yung submit button natin, will display yung correct or wrong. So, check muna natin yon. So, refresh ko muna to. para ma-push natin yung update. Okay? Then, yung correct answer na nilagay natin is sphere. So, ang gagawin ko, let's type yung sphere dito na merong small s. Okay? Small s muna. I'll click submit. So, wrong. Kasi ang hahanapin niya is the exact word. Yung capitalization, kasama yung capitalization. Okay? So, let's say sphere. Okay. So, ayan siya. So, ngayon, as of the moment, medyo meron tayong konting error, no? So, let's just check kung ano yung error natin. So, sabay niyang dinidisplay. Okay. So, on reviewing yung mga blocks na nilagay ko, no? So, wala naman tayong naging error. So, ang naging error or maging mali was the procedure of how to use the mobile application. So, let's say for example, ayan, no? Ilagay natin yung sphere. Yung nangyari kanina is nung kinilik ko tong submit, it already displayed the wrong. Okay, hindi ko ni-refresh. So, ang mangyayari ngayon, kapag tinype ko ulit yung sphere na correct answer, it will be showing the correct. So, pinagpatong niya. So, ang gagawin natin is we'll just refresh this one, no? Okay, we'll type down the incorrect answer na sphere. So, submit. We'll just, ano ito ngayon? We'll just refresh this one para maalis yung wrong. Then, we'll add na the correct answer. Okay, sphere. Ayan siya. So, we already have the correct answer dito. So, we'll just refresh, no? So, ayan siya ngayon. Now, so let's say for example, one of the problems na ma-encounter natin ngayon dito is kapag halimbawa, nag-type ako ng anything. I've clicked the submit. So, makikita nyo ngayon, yung ating keyboard hindi siya nawawala. Okay? Gusto natin mangyari is mawala yung sa keyboard. And aside from that, once na click ka na ng submit, okay? So let's say ilalagay ko ngayon, no, hindi ko to ni-refresh. Okay? Ayan siya, no. So hindi na mo natin para maiwasan natin itong problem na to. Okay, i-disable natin ngayon yung ating submit button. Okay? Para maiwasan itong instance na dumodoble na to kapag ginagamit na natin yung mobile application. So anong gagawin natin yun ngayon? Okay, so first is disable muna natin yung ating submit button. Okay, so let's say for example, ito yung conditional statement, no? Kapag nag-execute na itong conditional statement, whether it's true or false, kailangan natin i-disable yung submit button. So, paano natin gagawin yon? So, ito ngayon sa submit button, hanapin natin ngayon yung submit enabled. Okay, yung, saan na yun? Ito. Set submit enabled. So, ito ngayon, it will determine kung i-enable ba natin yung submit button natin o hindi. Ang importante dito will be the placement. Huwag nyo siyang ipapasok sa else, huwag nyo rin siya ipapasok dun sa then. Dun siya sa baba nung conditional statement natin. Okay, para pag natapos si if statement, ang next na i-execute niya is itong set na to. Excuse me. Okay? Ayun, no? Dapat yung set submit enabled natin nasa baba ng if, hindi nasa loob. Okay, so as you can see, there is a parameter in here. Maglalagay tayo ngayon ng value. Ang lalagay natin na value is either true or false. So, kung enabled siya, okay, ang gawin natin is false para ma-disable. Okay? So, yan yung gagawin natin. Now, after nyan is i-disable na natin or i-hide na natin ngayon yung keyboard. So, saan natin makikita yon? You can click on screen number 1. Okay, tapos hanapin natin yung ito. Call screen 1 hide keyboard. Ayan siya. Lagay natin yan dito. Wala nang parameter yan, automatic na yan. So, ito yan siya ngayon. Okay, so ang gagawin natin is we'll just check this one. So, refresh natin yung ating companion app. Okay, so type natin ngayon halimbawa yung maling answer. If I click submit, as you can see, nawala yung keyboard. Okay, tapos yung submit ngayon, hindi na yan mapipindot ulit. So, wala na tayong chance na magkaroon ng nagpapatong dito na wrong and correct na labels. Okay? So, ayun siya, no? So, let's just refresh yung ating companion app. So this is now your this is now your submit button. So what's next now? Syempre, doon tayo sa pangalawang button natin. So for the second button, that will be yung ating next button. So we'll be providing the blocks for the next button. So okay, we'll select the next button. Okay, tapos we'll be selecting the trigger. So syempre, we'll be using click. So lagay natin yan dito sa baba. Okay, so ngayon ano ba ang gagawin nung next natin? Okay? So for the next ngayon, ang gagawin nito is it will be selecting the second question. Okay? So maliban diyan, okay, dun sa last part, okay, katulad nung dinemo ko kanina, kapag next ka, yung pinaka-final na next or yung next para dun sa final na question natin, will also be the trigger para dun sa score. Okay? So, ngayon, kapag yung ordinaryong halimbawa ito, from question number 1 and question number 2, yung next natin, ang gagawin lang yan is kukunin niya yung second na question. Okay? Sorry, hindi pala second question, yung next na question. Kapag nandun ka na sa final na next, siya na ngayon yung magdi-display at magko-compute at magdi-display ng score mo. Okay, so papasok ngayon yung conditional statement dito kasi dalawa yung pwedeng gawin nung inyong next button. So lalagay tayo ngayon ng if else dito. Okay, so ganito yung condition na gagamitin natin, no? So we'll be checking ngayon whether if it's the final question na or hindi. Kasi dun sa final question, yun yung magbibigay ng score. Okay, so ang gagawin natin ngayon is i-check natin, is it the final question na ba? Pangatlong question na ba yan? Or depende dun sa number of questions na ilalagay nyo. So, paano natin gagawin yun ngayon? Okay, so we'll be comparing values. So, we'll be using itong math na to compare the values, no? Ayan siya. Ano ngayon yung mga parameters na ilalagay natin? Okay, so i-get natin ngayon yung global question number. Okay, so we'll get global question number. Okay, get natin ito. Iko-compare natin ngayon yung global question number, okay, dun sa number ng dun sa number ng list. Halimbawa, sabi ko nga kanina, no, itong question number na to, ito yung nagde-determine kung nasa ang question tayo at nasa ang answer. Okay? Tapos, iko-compare natin yan ngayon dun sa length of list natin. So, ang length of list, nasaan na ba yung length of list? Length of list, ito ngayon yung magbibilang kung gaano karaming items meron dito sa list nyo. Halimbawa, 3 yan. So, kapag nando ka na sa pangatlong question, ibig sabihin, that will be the final question. Okay? So, length of list ang gagamitin natin. Ngayon, as you can see, there is a parameter na kailangan dito. Ano ngayon yung parameter na ilalagay natin? So, that will be the question list. So, gamitin natin yung question list. So, we'll grab question list. Okay? Giget natin yung value para dun sa get question list. Lagay lang natin dito. Okay, so bibilangin niya ngayon, okay, ilang items meron dun sa list na to. Okay, so 3 yan. So i-compare niya ngayon kung nasa pang ilan na tayo. Ngayon, as of the moment, yung global question number natin, naka 1 pa rin yan kasi hindi pa tayo naglalagay ng mechanism para mag-increment siya para tumalon-talon dito sa mga or mag-next sa mga question na to. So this is the conditional statement that we'll be using. Ayan. Nasa if yan. Tapos, gagawin muna natin yung para sa score. Okay? So, ngayon, ito yung score natin. So, this is a label. Gusto na natin ngayon magkaroon ng text yung label na yan. So, kukunin natin si set score.text, okay, para mabigyan na natin siya ng value. Okay? So, ngayon, ang gagawin po natin is magkakaroon tayong tinatawag na join. Okay? Kasi pag sasamahin natin yung isang text and yung isang variable. So, ano bang ibig sabihin nito? So, ito, i-attach ko as an argument ito. Pagdudugtungin niya ngayon itong dalawa. So, ano yan? So, first, kukuha ako ng text. Dito ko ngayon papasok yung label ko na score. Ayan siya. Tapos, kukunin ko ngayon yung variable na score. Okay, so kanina, 'di ba, nag plus 1 na tayo dun sa score natin. So, kukunin na natin yung get global variable, kakopy ko na lang 'to dito. Ipapasok natin 'yan ngayon. So, ang gagawin nitong conditional statement natin is i-check nasa pang ilang question na tayo. i-compare niya yon dun sa number of questions. Kung nasa pangatlo ka na, that will be the final, okay, kukunin niya na ngayon yung global score. Ipapakita niya na yung mga score sa'yo. Okay? Kung hindi pa yun yung final question, ano ang gagawin? So, ito yan ngayon. First is, will be, will be changing the visibility ngayon nung ating correct and wrong. Kasi kanina, di ba, kapag nag-true ito, mag-visible yung correct. Kapag nag-true ito, yung wrong ang magiging visible. So, aalisin natin ulit yung visibility ng dalawa na to. Okay, so paano natin gagawin yon? So, kukunin mo lang to ngayon. Well, I'll just copy na lang no para mabilis. I-grab ko tong dalawa na to. Ayan siya. So, ngayon, ang value ng wrong and correct as of the moment naka-true. So, ibig sabihin naka-display sila. Papalitan lang natin to ng false para mag-hide ulit yan. Para back to fresh ulit tayo, no? Kasi second question na to, kinlik mo na yung next eh. Okay? So, ngayon, anong next? Ang next niyan ngayon is syempre, kailangan na natin tumalon doon sa second question. Okay? Kasi na-clear na natin yung correct and wrong na label sa taas, no? Kailangan na natin mag-jump dun sa second question. So, ang gagawin natin is kukunin natin tong variable na to. Okay? So, isa-set natin, papalitan na natin siya ng value. Kasi as of the moment, 1 pa rin yan. Wala pa akong ina-add na kahit ano dito para mag-jump siya, no? So, kukunin natin yan. Ilagay natin dito sa baba. Okay. Tapos, i-manipulate na natin ngayon yung value. So, kailangan natin mag-increment ng 1 dyan. Okay? Para mag-next question na siya at wala siyang skip. So, ang gagawin natin is kukunin natin yung same variable, itong question number na to. I-get naman natin yung current value niya. Kukunin natin yung current value. So, get natin yung current value. Lagay natin dito. Tapos, increment natin siya ng 1. Mali pala itong nag-grab ko. So, delete ko to. Be using the plus or yung addition. Ayan. Tapos, let's grab a value in here. Kunin natin yung 1. Okay, so etong block na to ngayon, ang gagawin lang nito is ito ngayon yung next ng question kasi nagdadagdag tayo ng number dun sa question number eh. So, halimbawa, initially, it's 1, kukunin niya to. If it's napalitan natin yung value ng 2, kukunin niya ngayon itong second question na to. Okay, so yan yung ngayon yung ginagawa ng block na to. So, after natin mapalitan yung value ng global question number, syempre, kailangan natin i-display ulit yung text or sorry, yung question natin. So, to display the question, ang pwede natin gawin is i-copy na lang natin to kasi ito naman yung nag-display ng question natin kanina. Okay? So, isa-set niya ngayon yung question, okay? So, dedepende yan ngayon dito. So, ito na ngayon, question number. So, number 2 na, yung second question na from the question list yung kukunin niya. Okay? So, what's next is naka-disable kanina yung submit natin, no? So, i-re-enable natin yung submit natin. So, kukunin ko lang to. Okay? I-re-enable natin yan kasi din-disable natin kanina. Yung false, gagawin natin true. Papalitan natin yung value to do that. Okay? Tapos, buburahin din natin yung laman ng text box kanina. So, let's just demo, no? Para magkaroon tayo ng idea. So, halimbawa, ito, kinlik ko yung submit. Kapag kinlik ko ngayon yung next, ang gagawin nito is, ito, first, itong wrong and correct na to, itatago niya. Kasi magiging false yung visibility nila. Tapos, mag-i-increment tayo ng value kay question number para mag-next question siya. Okay? So, magiging 2 na siya. Tapos, kapag sinet natin yung text ng label na question, okay, kukuha siya dito sa list na to, gagamitin niya yung question number kung pang ilan na, kung anong index na. That will be index number 2, that will be question number 2. Tapos, ibabalik natin itong submit na to. Kailangan naka-enable si submit ulit. Tapos, we'll also be removing yung previous answer ni user. Alisin natin yan. So, kukunin natin ngayon yung text box natin. Halimbawa, this is your text box answer, no? Hanapin mo ngayon yung set text box or set answer text. Ito. Set answer text. Ilalagay mo yan dito. We'll be adding text. Ang text na ilalagay natin is a blank lang para wala siyang laman. Huwag kang maglagay ng space. Huwag kang maglagay ng kahit ano. Just leave it blank. Okay? So, yan ngayon yung ginagawa ng click. So, ulitin lang natin yung ginawa natin, no? So, the conditional statement in here will determine whether if it's the last question or not. If it's true na last question na, ang gagawin niya is i-display niya na ngayon si global score. Yung value ng global score. So, ayan, no? Set score 1 or score. Si score is a label. Papalitan daw niya yung text ng label na yon, i-display niya si score na text and yung value ng global ng variable ng global score. So, kung halimbawa hindi pa naman siya final question, ang gagawin niya is binabalik niya sa dati ito. Okay? I-hide niya yung wrong and correct. Okay? Mag-i-increment yung question number para mag-jump tayo. I-display ngayon yung question, tapos ibabalik sa pagka-enable yung submit. Okay? Tapos i-clear niya ngayon yung text box na to. Something like that yung expect natin na output nito. So, let's check ngayon. Okay, so refresh natin yung ating companion app. So, this is the question now. Okay, so halimbawa, mag-type tayo kahit ano. Okay, submit. So, again, no, naka-disable yung submit, naka-display itong wrong na to. If I click next, dapat mawawala itong answer na to, mag-e-enable ito, tapos mawawala ito, then magpapalit yung question. So, let's check. Ito siya ngayon. As you can see, nag-question number 2 na tayo. Okay, tapos na-clear din itong text box na wala yung laman and bumalik yung submit natin. Okay, so let's say ilagay natin what is the color of the ocean. Ilagay natin yung blue. If I click submit, correct siya, na i-display natin yung correct. Kapag kinlik ko yung next, again, no, mawawala yung laman nito, mag-update yung question, that will be question number 3. Okay, babalik si submit, mawawala yung text sa baba. Halimbawa, this is the final question. Ayan siya. So, ilagay ko lang yung correct. This is the final question. So, sabi natin kanina, okay, ano ba yung K natin? Malaki, maliit. Okay, it's a big K. And this is the correct answer. Sabi natin kanina, if it's the last question, anong mangyayari? I-display niya na ngayon si score. So, check natin kung i-display niya ngayon si score. I'll click next. Ayan siya. Din-display niya na ngayon yung, or sorry, hindi ko pa pala kinlik yung submit. Ulitin natin, no? Hindi niya na-record. So, I'll just click refresh. So, halimbawa, ilagay natin yung mga correct answer dito. Shape is sphere. Okay, submit. I'll click next. Color of the ocean is blue. I'll click submit. Tapos, click next. Okay, tapos 50 kilos. I'll click submit. And ito na. Kapag kinlik ko yung next, ayan siya. I-display niya na yung score. So, nilagay ko yung 3 correct answers. So, din-display niya ngayon yung 3. Okay? So, this is the first step, no, nung ating mobile application. So, as you can see, nandito pa lang tayo sa isang virtual screen. Ayan siya ngayon. So, basically, dito na halos lahat, sabihin na natin, 60% ng functionality ng ating mobile application will be already in here. Okay? So, we'll be proceeding na dun sa next part ng ating mobile application. Okay guys, so for the next part nung ating mobile application, no, I'll be proceeding back to dun sa designer. Okay? So for the designer, maglalagay na ako ngayon ng mga components or elements para dito sa dalawang virtual arrangement na to. Okay? So ngayon, I'll just hide muna itong vertical arrangement na to, no? Then I'll select yung vertical arrangement 1. Ito ngayon yung isushow ko. So, ano ngayon yung makikita natin dito? So, balikan lang natin yung ating mobile application. So, ito yung mobile application natin. Ito yung gagawin natin. Okay? So, we'll be creating the labels. We'll be creating the text boxes. Then, yung dalawang buttons natin. Okay? So, paano natin gagawin yan, no? For this particular example, no, maglalagay muna ako ng label. Or no, i-change muna pala natin yung align horizontal natin to center. Okay, itong label 1 na to will be the spacer sa taas. I'll be adding label number 2. This is sample quiz app. Label number 3, okay? Ito ngayon yung ilalagay natin for the another space na naman, or hindi lang pala siya actually isang space, no? Maglalagay ako nung text kanina, yung incomplete details. Halimbawa, ito. kapag tinype ko is kulang, lalabas dyan yung incomplete details. So, that will be yung label number 3 natin. Then, what's next is, syempre, we'll be adding yung mga text boxes natin. So, we'll be adding 3 text boxes for the name, for the first name, last name, and the section. Then, we'll be adding additional 2 buttons para naman dun sa ating start quiz and for the exit. Okay, so, let's start with label number 1. Okay, alisin ko lang yung value nito. Tapos, pang ilang spacer na ba to? Spacer 3. So, I'll be renaming this to spacer 3 para aware ako na spacer lang itong label na to. Okay, tapos, this is yung label 2. Ayan. So, ang gagawin natin, let's rename this to app name. Halimbawa, app name. Ito yung app name na ilalagay natin. Okay, so I'll be changing now yung ating font. Gawin nating bold. Yung font size natin is 35. Tapos, or ano pala, maglagay muna pala tayo ng background for the vertical arrangement one. So, again, no, para consistent tayo, we'll be using the same image. So, now, balik ako sa app name natin. I'll be changing its text color to white. Okay, then palitan natin yung kanyang text or label. Sample quiz app. Okay, so ayan siya ngayon. Then, si label number 3, no, buburahin ko lang ito kasi ilalagay natin yung text mamaya dun sa blocks natin. Okay? So, for our text boxes, ang gagawin na natin is we'll be just creating yung ating we'll be just adding yung hint. So, bago yun, I'll be switching back sa app inventor natin. So, i-refresh natin para nakikita lang natin. Okay, so ang gagawin natin siguro is let's change yung ating width. Palitan natin ng konti yung width natin. So, let's say around 60%. Let's check. Okay, so okay na to. We'll be doing that for the second and third na text box natin. Okay, so I'll also be changing yung kanilang hint. So, ang hint na ilalagay ko dito is first name. This is last name, syempre, para alam ng user natin kung anong data yung kanyang ilalagay. So, halimbawa ito, year and section. Okay, so something like that. Tapos, we'll be just renaming na lang siguro itong text box natin, no? Let's rename this to first name. This one, I'll be renaming to last name. Again, no, ang purpose lang naman nito is para alam natin sa blocks natin later kung para saan yan. So, itong button na to, this is the start quiz. So, I'll be just rename at start. This one, I'll be renaming it to exit. Okay, then let's modify yung ating button. I'll be changing its text to start quiz. Then this one is your exit. Okay, click bold. Palitan natin yung background color green. Yung exit, I'll change it to orange. So, yung ating mobile application will look something like this, no? So, ayan siya ngayon. This is the user interface that you'll be seeing for the vertical arrangement one natin. Okay? So, what's next? So, ang gagawin natin ngayon for this particular example, no? Tatago ko muna yung ating vertical arrangement one. Okay, so I could be able to proceed dito sa ating vertical arrangement 2. So, ano ngayon ang laman ng ating vertical arrangement 2? For the vertical arrangement 2, simple lang naman yung ilalagay natin dito. Yung kanina, halimbawa, eto, ayan. Yung dito sa part na to, napakita natin yung score dito, di ba? Ililipat ko siya dun sa vertical arrangement 3. Okay, so maglalagay ako ng label na score dito. So, for now, ang gagawin natin is hide muna natin. Hide ko muna to. Dito ako sa vertical arrangement tree. Okay, I'll be changing yung background natin dun sa gradient para same image lang, no? Consistent yung background natin all throughout. So, gawin natin, naka-center ito. First is I'll be adding a label for, uh, oh, saglit. Delete natin to. Vertical arrangement. The set is visible. Okay, let's add the label in here. So, this is another spacer na naman, no? So, we'll add the spacer, tapos maglalagay na naman ako for the score. So, di-display ko ngayon dito si score. Okay, tapos, I'll also be labeling yung score ni user whether it's pass or failed. So, that will be label number 6 and label number 7. Okay, so tapos lastly, ano na lang, the exit button. Ayan, so ito yung mga kailangan ko ngayon. So for label number 4, this is spacer. Again, I believe this is spacer 4. Okay, we'll be removing its text. Tapos change natin yung height niya to around 5% para matulak niya pababa, no? Then our label 5, ito ngayon yung gagamitin ko for the final score. So, I'll be just renaming this to final score. Okay, pero, ano, I'll just rename this to score. Okay. Or, sorry, duplicate. So, ayan, final score na lang siya. I'll be changing its font size. So, around siguro 25. Tayo mapalitan. Okay, saglit nga. Check nga natin. Click bold. Hindi ako makapaglagay ng text or ng size. So, let's just check na lang later, no? Okay, so I'll just correct na lang it later. So, for label number 6, so si label number 6, ito ngayon yung gagamitin ko na label para to display whether it is passed. Okay, saglit lang guys. Okay, so I'll just refresh this. I'm having issues ata with internet connectivity. So, I'll just check again. Okay, eto, burahin natin, okay? Or, before yan, I'll change it to font size 25. Alisin natin ito. Okay, so for label number 6, same, it's 25. Gawin natin bold. Tapos, ang label na ilalagay ko dito is past. Okay, I'll be also changing in the text color. So, let's say I'll be adding green. Okay, I'll be renaming this to past. For label number 7, I'll be renaming this to field. Okay, having issues with again, no, I'll just rename this to okay guys, I'm having issues with either internet or the keyboard. I'll be back. Okay, so let's continue. So for label number 7, this is failed. Okay, change the label to failed. Bold, change its font size to 25, and also be changing its color to red. Okay, and lastly, we have this button number 1. I'll be renaming this to exit. I believe this is exit number 2. We'll be changing the label for this button. So this is now exit. Make the text bold. Change its background color to around an orange. Okay, so this will be the user interface that we'll be seeing for vertical arrangement tree. Now, we'll be proceeding with the blocks. Okay, so first is I'll be starting with the blocks for vertical arrangement tree. Medyo mas mabilis ito, konti lang yung blocks dito. So, I'll be proceeding first with the blocks in here, no? So, ano ba yung blocks na ilalagay ko dito? So, the blocks that I'll be adding is, or no, before I proceed pala dun sa blocks, no, I'll be just hiding yung ating passed and failed. So, yung button lang yung magiging visible. Okay? So, I'll be proceeding with the blocks. For the blocks, um, lagay ko na lang siya dito sa gilid. Okay. For the blocks that we'll be doing, no, yung para sa dito sa vertical arrangement tree na to, so simple lang naman ang gagawin dito. We'll be providing the functionality for the exit button. Okay? So, for the application, halimbawa, ito yung application kanina. If I'll be clicking yung exit, magta-terminate yung application. Okay? So, it will be something like that. So, I'll just demo yung para dun sa final na exit button natin. Ayan siya. So, eto ngayon, kapag kinlik ko to, it will be just terminating the application. Okay, so yun yung ilalagay natin. I won't be able to demonstrate yung functionality na yon using itong AI companion, no? Kasi hindi niya mata-terminate. But if you want to check the functionality of the exit button, i-ano nyo na lang, to test it, i-build nyo yung application nyo to an APK para matest nyo yung functionality. So, yun lang yung way para na pwede nyo gamitin to check the functionality. So, paano ba yan? Simple lang naman yung for the blocks eh. For the blocks ng exit, so, halimbawa, vertical arrangement tree, exit number 2, kunin mo lang exit number 2. When exit number 2 is click, okay, so anong mangyayari kapag kinlik mo daw yung button? So, it'll be terminating the application. So, paano ba yon? You can proceed with screen. Okay, dito sa hanapin natin screen uh, or no. I'll be proceeding with control. Hanapin nyo yung close application. Okay, so this is close application. I-drag nyo lang ngayon itong close application na to. Okay? So, once na-click nyo yung exit button, i-close nyo na yung application. It's as easy as that. Ganun lang siya. Okay? So, that will be the only block na meron tayo for vertical arrangement tree. Okay? So, for vertical arrangement tree, i-hide ko muna to. We'll be proceeding with vertical arrangement 1. Ma-hide ka ba? I-hide natin to. We'll be proceeding with vertical arrangement 1. So, this is now your vertical arrangement 1. So, as you can see, for vertical arrangement 1, meron din tayong exit dito, no? So, same lang sila ng magiging functionality. So, for the blocks, okay, pwede nyo nang kopyahin na lang ito. Okay? Tapos, ito ngayon is yung initial na exit natin. Yung original na exit. Okay? So, ayan. You already have the 2 exit para dito sa ano. Or 2 exit buttons for your mobile application. So, anong gagawin natin yan ngayon? So, in here, no? So, we'll be proceeding with the designer. So, dito, anong mangyayari? Ang mangyayari ngayon for this mobile application is simple lang. So, ita-type natin yung first name, last name, tsaka yung section. Kapag kinlik natin yung start quiz, mag-start na siya ng quiz. Okay, so paano natin gagawin yon? So, first is, before natin mapindot or before mag-activate ngayon yung start quiz natin is dapat we make sure or we check na merong laman si first name, si last name, and also si section. Kapag wala silang laman, kailangan hindi makapag-proceed dun sa start quiz. Okay? So, it should be something like that. Ngayon, ang gagawin kasi natin is we'll be providing the will be tawag dito, we'll be providing yung mga inputs dito or si user magpo-provide yan, i-check natin yun using the blocks. So, paano natin gagawin yon? So, ang trigger natin will be si start button. Okay, kasi kapag magta-type, wala tayong kahit anong trigger dyan, magti-trigger pa lang siya kapag kinlik natin yung start button. So, we'll be proceeding with start button. So, hanapin mo yung start button. So, halimbawa, this vertical arrangement 1, this is your start button. Ang trigger natin will also be click. Okay, so anong gagawin natin? We'll be creating a conditional statement to check whether the text boxes natin is merong laman o wala. Okay, so paano natin gagawin yon? We'll be proceeding with text, no? Tapos hanapin natin yung is empty. Ayan. Ito ngayon yung gagamitin natin to check whether yung mga text boxes natin is may laman or wala. So, that will be is empty. So, you can see there is a parameter in here. So, dito natin ngayon ipapasok kung saang text box niya i-check. So, in here, we have 3 text boxes, no? First name, last name, and section. So, grab natin si first name. Hanapin yung first name that text. So, that will be this one, first name that text. Ayan siya. So, this blocks will check whether this text box is empty. Okay, if it's empty, okay, so anong gagawin natin? So, ayan siya. Returns true if the length of the text is 0. Okay, so gagawin natin ito ng, syempre, 3 beses. So, for the last name and also for the section. So, ngayon, itong tatlo na to, kailangan nating i-check yan, kailangan nating pagsama-samahin yan into a single block dito. So, paano natin gagawin yon? Gagamit tayo ngayon ng logic. So, ang logic na gagamitin natin will be an OR. So, paano yan? So, once na merong isa dito, kahit isa dito ang empty, dapat hindi siya magpo-proceed. Kaya OR ang gagamitin ko. Kasi kahit isa lang dito, ang walang laman, hindi na siya magpo-proceed. Yung problema, dalawa lang ito. So, we'll be changing yung, or we'll be using itong itong gear na to, itong settings na to. So, mag-add lang tayo ng additional ng boolean. Tapos, ito ngayon yung ipapasok natin dito. Okay, we'll be providing this conditional statement. So, ano ba ang gagawin ng conditional statement na to, guys, no? Ang gagawin niyan is it will be checking whether if one or all of this text box, halimbawa, first name, last name section, is walang laman. If walang laman yan, okay, so anong gagawin natin? We'll be displaying a text. So, dito tayo ngayon sa dead. So, kanina, we have label number 3. Okay, yung label number 3 na to, ito yung gagamitin natin to display the incomplete details. So, rename lang natin. Ito, I'll just rename this here. Incomplete details. Okay, so this will be the text. Ang gagawin natin, kukunin natin yung set incomplete details text. Ayan siya, something like this. Tapos, we'll be adding a text or a label. So, ilalagay natin dito is incomplete details. Okay, so let's just refresh yung connected pa ba yung aking companion app. I'll just check. Hindi na ata siya connected. So, I'll just connect it again. Okay. Okay, so, ito ngayon yung mobile application, no? So, magta-type lang ako dito ng kahit ano. Hindi ako maglalagay for the last name and current section. I'll click start. Ayan siya. So, as you can see, nag-display dito sa taas yung incomplete details. So, anuhin lang natin. Nasaan na ba incomplete details? I'll just change yung font and also the text color. Okay, then I'll try it again. Click start. So, ayan siya. We have incomplete details. Okay? So, ayan na. Now, let's say for example, correct naman yung details niya. So, anong mangyayari? So, we'll be proceeding again dito sa blocks. So, ang gagawin po natin ngayon is we'll be setting the visibility nung ating mga virtual screens. So, as you can see, yung naka-display sa atin ngayon, yung naka-visible sa atin si vertical arrangement 1. So, ang gusto natin mangyari is mai-display natin ngayon si vertical arrangement 2. Ito yung merong laman nung ayan, itong vertical arrangement to, ito ngayon yung merong questions. So, gusto natin siyang i-gawing visible. So, dapat dito naka-invisible siya, naka-visible lang natin si arrangement 1. So, ang gagawin natin ngayon is we'll be setting its visibility. So, we'll grab vertical arrangement 1, visible. Okay, set natin siya. Okay, so kunin natin, ilagay natin dito sa else, no? Ang gagawin ko is again, no, yung value natin na logic for the false. Okay, tapos kakopy ko na lang to. Now, anong vertical arrangement yung i-show natin? That will be vertical arrangement 2. I'll be changing it to true. So, once na nag-proceed na tayo, so let's say try natin, no? We'll just refresh yung companion app natin. Add details, kahit ano. Start quiz. Ayan siya. Magja-jump na siya papunta dito. So, yun yung ginagawa ng dalawang ano na yan, yung dalawang blocks na yan. So, but we're not done yet. Why? Hindi naman basta naglagay tayo ng kahit anong details dito, no? Wala na kasi hindi naman natin siya nilagay to a variable. So, ang gagawin ko, for this particular example, is papasok ko na siya dun sa Firebase ko na database. Okay, so let's say I want to record the first name, last name, year, and section plus score nung student na magkuquiz dito. So, I'll be adding it to the Firebase. So, first is dito sa designer nyo, kailangan natin maglagay ng Firebase na component. So, drag lang natin to. Just click it, just click OK. Okay. So, ngayon, ang mangyayari dito, lalabas yan, permission denied. So, para ma-refresh nyo ulit, or para ma-load nyo yung Firebase dito, guys, no, ang dapat gawin is i-reset yung connection. Okay. So, ayan siya. Kailangan yung reconnect ulit si App Inventor nyo. Okay, so MIT App Inventor, I'll just connect again. Okay, para mag-load ulit yung Firebase, no? So, let's just wait para ma-load ulit natin yung ating application. So, we could proceed dun sa next part. Okay, now, so this is our Firebase error. So, let me just double check, no? Firebase, okay, sige. Ang next na gagawin ko ngayon is for the Firebase. So, check na natin. Mag-create na tayo ng database natin sa Firebase, no? So, to do that, so ang pwede natin gawin is proceed tayo dun sa console.firebase.google.com. Okay. So, dapat meron kayo nakalogin dito na Gmail account, syempre, kasi this is a Google service, no? I'll be just creating a new project. So, let's say, for example, quiz app. Okay. I'll click continue. Ito, I'll just disable the Google Analytics. Okay, so let's just wait kasi Google will be provisioning yung storage na gagamitin ng ating database. No? So, ayan. So, let's just click continue. Now, I already have created the application for the Firebase, no? So, ito siya. Quiz app. So, ang gawin natin will be proceeding with real-time database. Ngayon, we'll be creating na yung ating database. Ayan siya. Let's click yung create database button. I'll just click next. Okay, so for now, lock mode muna tayo, enable natin, but we'll be changing yung ilang configurations dito for us to be able to read and write data from the database na i-create natin. So, it may take some time creating the database, no? So, what's next is, we'll be proceeding with rules. So, as of the moment, dito sa rules na to, yung read and write natin naka-false. Gawin natin siyang true, so we'll be able to read and write yung data ng ating database. So, after nyo palitan yung read and write niya, we'll just click publish. Ayan, so sasabihin niya, your security rules are defined as public. So, ibig sabihin po, kahit sinong merong link nung database nyo will be able to read and write no sa database. So, for now, for demonstration purposes, no, that's okay. So, ito yung link. I'll just copy this link. So, ito ngayon yung ilalagay natin dito sa inyong Firebase. So, meron siyang Firebase default URL. Ilagay lang natin yung link na yon. Okay, so for us to be able to write data, as of the moment, naka-null yan kasi wala pa tayong data na ilagay. So, ang next natin gagawin ngayon is we'll try to write data dito sa ating database using yung ating Firebase na component. So, we'll be proceeding with the blocks. So, ang gagawin natin ngayon is we'll try to write the data. Okay, so paano natin gagawin? Click natin yung ating Firebase component, no? So, these are different components that or blocks that we can use under the Firebase component. So, ang gagawin natin is syempre to store a value. Store muna tayo ng value, mag-save muna tayo ng value. So, ito ngayon ilalagay natin dito. Kapag, ang ibig sabihin lang nito is kapag walang empty, mag-false na yan, pupunta na siya sa else, isa-set niya yung visibility, tapos mag-start na siya mag-write ng data. Okay, so paano tayo ngayon mag-write ng data? We need two na data para dito. We'll be needing the tag. Okay, so basically, ito yung parang kumbaga sa SQL is your primary key. Okay, tapos yung mga data na ilalagay nyo for that primary key. So, ngayon, as of the moment, no, we'll be just creating a very, very simple Firebase entry, no? So, ang gagawin ko is static muna yung aking primary key. So, ibig sabihin, kung static yan, isang record or entry lang yung ma-store ko. So, for now, ayan, naka-user. Ito yung tag na gagamitin ko. Again, no, yung tag na to, it corresponds to a primary key para dun sa equivalent sa SQL. So, let's say this is user number 1. So, what's next? After yung user number 1 is I'll be providing na ngayon yung data na ilalagay, no, na i-write natin. So, we'll be using join katulad nung meron na ba tayong join dito? I believe meron na tayong join ito. Katulad nitong join na ginamit natin dito. Okay, so for this example, no, ang gagawin natin is i-insert natin ngayon yung laman ng first name, last name, section, pati yung score. So, into a single entry. So, gagawin ko ngayon itong settings na to, maglalagay ako ng apat na, or hindi, ang gawin natin is, let's add 7. Okay, so, check natin, no? What I'll be doing is i-grab ko ngayon itong laman ng mga text box. Yung mismo kong text box, yan yung ilalagay ko ngayon dito sa join. That will be the last name, or sorry, that will be the first name, last name, tapos yung section. Okay? As you can see, naglagay ako ng mga konting spaces, no? Kasi maglalagay tayo ng symbol na gagamitin natin as, kumbaga, separator para sa mga to. Okay? Kulang pa ako ng isa. One more. Okay. Now, lastly, yung score ko is naka-0 muna as of the moment. Ayan siya. So, ngayon, eto ngayon yung mga data na ilalagay natin for this unique key. So, ano tong mga spaces sa gitna? Itong mga spaces sa gitna na to, yan yung gagamitin ko to have a separator para dito sa mga entries na to. Ang separator na gagamitin ko is an underscore. Okay, so mamaya kapag nakita nyo siya ngayon dun sa Firebase natin, this will be a single entry. This is the primary key. Tapos, ito yung mga fields natin. Okay, so itong mga underscore na to is just separator ng ating mga data. So, something like that. Ito ngayon yung ating start button. So, we'll just try, no, if we're already able to write the data sa ating Firebase. So, we'll just refresh our companion app. So, again, no, yung Firebase natin, wala pang laman, naka-null pa po yan. Let's just check whether if we could already write the data or not. Okay? So, here's the mobile application. So, let's say, I'll be using Juan de la Cruz. Year and section, BSIT 1Z. Okay, start quiz. Ayan siya. So, let's check ngayon yung Firebase natin kung pumasok. So, eto siya. Ayan na ngayon yung entry. Okay, so you have your entry, Juan de la Cruz, BSIT1Z underscore, ayan o, 1 underscore de la Cruz underscore BSIT 1Z underscore 0. So, ito na ngayon yung data na nilagay natin doon sa mobile application. Ibig sabihin, we're now able to write data on your Firebase. Nakakapag-write na tayo. So, ayan na. So, ngayon, you can write the data papunta sa Firebase nyo and you can also, alam yun, retrieve data from the Firebase database nyo. So, for the last part ng ating module na to, no? So, what we'll be doing next is we'll be now storing yung score nung ating quiz sa ating Firebase, no? So, yun na yung gagawin natin for the last part. Or aside pala doon, we'll also be determining, or the application will also be determining whether yung score ng user natin, okay, is pass or failed. So, in here, so makikita nyo for this mobile application na kinikreate natin, no? So, halimbawa, I'll be just adding the answers, mali-maling answers, no? So, para I could able to demo sa inyo. So, this is the last part. So, kapag ngayon, ang gusto natin mangyari is kapag kinlik ko ngayon itong next na to, okay, aside from the score, okay, no? Pag kinlik natin yung next na to, aside from the score, magdi-display tayo ngayon na whether it's yung score niya is pass or failed. Okay, so yun gagawin natin. But for this, for this particular na example, no, ililipat na natin ito a separate na virtual screen. So, ang expect natin will be something like this. Halimbawa, ito. This is the demo app na pinakita ko sa inyo dun sa start. So, this is already the final product. So, kapag kinlik ko ngayon itong next, okay, this one, ito yung di-display niya. So, it will be opening a new virtual screen. Dito niya i-display yung score. Tapos, i-determine niya whether the score is pass or failed. Then, saka rin siya magkakaroon ng exit button, no? Again, no, ang gagawin natin for the last part is ililipat natin yung score into a virtual screen. We'll be determining whether its score is pass or failed. Then we'll be adding ito, nagawa na natin itong exit na to eh. And also pala, we'll also be recording yung kanyang score dito sa Firebase database. So, itong 0 na to, kailangan mapalitan natin siya. Kailangan na niya mag-update. So, to do that, okay, ang gagawin natin is balik muna tayo dito sa MIT App Inventor. Okay, so this is the MIT App Inventor, no? Ngayon, ang imo-modify lang natin dito dun sa mga previously created blocks natin will be yung para dito sa ating next. Okay, we'll be adding yung ating mga blocks. So, ngayon, saan natin ilalagay yan? That will be this part. Sa part na to, ito yung nandito na sa final question eh. Ito yung mag-check if it's already the final question. If it or sorry, kung ito na yung final question, no, so kailangan mag-jump na tayo ng virtual screen. So paano natin gagawin yon? So eto ngayon, this is currently on vertical arrangement 2. So si vertical arrangement 2, dahil lilipat tayo to vertical arrangement 3, yung visibility ni virtual arrangement 2, okay, igagawin natin siyang false para i-hide. Magpo-false na yan. Tapos, yung vertical arrangement tree natin, yun na ngayon yung mag-visible. So, gagawin ko lang true yan. Something like that. Okay, pero we're not done yet. Okay, so ano ba ang gagawin natin ngayon dito? So, ang gagawin natin ngayon dito is, ayan, pwede, nakakalipat na tayo ng virtual screen eh. We can already compute the score. So, nakakapag-add na tayo ng score. Ngayon is, i-check natin whether the score is pass or failed. Okay, so paano natin yun gagawin? So something like this. We'll be creating a conditional statement. So, dito tayo sa control. If else, okay, lalagay natin dito sa baba. Okay, so ano ang gagawin natin? We'll be determining ngayon whether yung score niya is passing or failed. So, paano ba yon? Ang pwede nyong gawin is pwedeng i-divide nyo na lang by 2. If it's equal dun sa divided by 2, equal or greater than, then it's passed. But I'll be creating sabihin na natin more complex one, no? So, gawin natin is parang yung computation ni ginagamit namin na base 50. Kapag ang naging average grade niya is 75 and above, so pass siya. Kung 74 pababa, then failed. So, paano natin gagawin yon? So, first is yung formula, something like this. So, pakita lang natin sa notepad. Okay. So, halimbawa, that will be raw score divided by total score. Okay. I-ano na lang natin. Raw score. divide by total score. Okay. Tapos, times 50 plus 50. Ito yung formula na gagawin ko. Okay? So, gawin natin. So, to do that, no, ang gagawin natin is we'll be proceeding dito sa math blocks natin. So, paano ba yan? First is yung division muna. I'll grab division. Okay, lagay natin somewhere in here. Tapos, ano ngayon i-divide natin? So, ang i-divide natin ngayon will be yung score niya. So, this is the global score. I-divide natin yung global score ngayon dun sa total number of items. So, paano ngayon? Bibilangin natin yung number of items. So, pwedeng kunin nyo na lang ito. Ayan, length list of global question list. So, ang gagawin yan is bibilangin niya ilan lahat ng question list or items sa question list. So, that will be the total number of questions mo, total number of scores. I'll just copy this one. Ayan siya. So, we have your raw score divided by dun sa total number of score. So, ngayon, papasok ngayon yung times 50 plus 50. So, proceed tayo with math. Okay, we'll grab multiplication, no? Then, drop natin ito dito. Then, I'll be grabbing a number. So, baliktarin natin. Ayan. Dito na lang sa taas. Times 50. Okay. Ayan na siya. So, after nating i-times yan, then kailangan natin mag plus 50. So, I'll just grab this one. Pupunta dito. Tapos this one, drop nyo ngayon dito. Ayan siya. So, this is the, this is now the, tawag dito, this is now the computation na gagamitin natin. But we're not done yet. Why? Kasi we still need to compare the values. So, this is the first part, no? We'll also be creating yung comparison. So, ito yung comparison natin. So, ang gagawin ko na comparison is, if the score, sabihin na natin, ilagay ko na siya dito as condition, no? If the score is, sabihin na natin, less than 75. Okay, yan yung condition ko. If it's less than 75, so, ano ngayon ang gagawin ko? So, ang gagawin ko ngayon is, I'll set na failed siya kasi less than 75 eh. If it's less than 75, di-display natin yung text natin na failed. So, saan natin yan ngayon makikita? So, ayan. I'll be proceeding with vertical arrangement 3. Ayan. So, dito, naglagay tayo kanina ng pass or failed. So, we'll be just setting the visibility nung dalawa na to. Okay? So, halimbawa, set visible. Ito, set passed. Ayan. Ayan. Ngayon, no, sa condition natin, if the score is less than 75, failed yon. So, yung failed ngayon, yun yung gagawin natin na visible. Okay? Ayan. Yung failed, yun ngayon yung gagawin natin na visible, no? So, let's grab the true. Lagay natin dito. Then, this one, gagawin natin false, syempre, para hindi siya lumitaw. Okay? So, yun siya. Now, if nag-else naman tayo, so ibig sabihin nag-false ito, ibig sabihin yung score niya is 75 and above. So, kailangan lang natin kopyahin itong dalawa na to. Okay? Pero, papalitan natin yung mga values para magbaliktad yung i-display. So, kung halimbawa, pass siya, yung pass natin, ito ngayon yung true. Yung failed natin, this is ngayon the false. So, para mag-display yung inyong mga text. Okay? Now, so, tulad ng sinabi ko pala kanina, yung score is ililipat na natin. Aalisin na natin yung score ngayon dito. So, meron tayong final score. Okay, so ito ngayon yung final score. So, ang mangyayari niyan ngayon is we'll just set na instead na score, magiging final score. Ililipat na natin dun sa kabila. Ayan. Final score. Okay, tapos set niya lang yung text to score space global score. Ayun na siya, no? So, ganun lang yung paglilipat. So, dapat mawawala na ngayon ito. Ito, hindi naman lilitaw yan kasi wala naman tayong naka-display na text doon kanina. Nag-create lang tayo ng set text dito. So, ano na lang yung last na part? Yung last na part na lang natin dito ngayon is kailangan natin ma-save ngayon yung data. So, Juan de la Cruz, BSIT1Z, kailangan papalitan natin ng 0 to. Okay? Or sorry, kailangan natin mapalitan itong 0 na to. So, paano natin gagawin yun? We'll just grab ngayon yung yung sa Firebase na ginamit natin kanina. Eto. Kakopy ko lang to. I'll just copy this one. Tapos, or, ayan. I-grab natin yan papunta dito. Ayan. So, saan natin ilalagay yan ngayon? Ilalagay natin yan dito sa baba ng inyong conditional statement. Ayan siya. Itong space na to. Dito. Diyan natin ilalagay yung Firebase nyo. Okay. So, still no, user number 1 pa rin yan. Kasi static lang muna tayo. For now, ito ngayon yung papalitan natin. So, instead na 0, alisin natin yan. Ang kukunin natin ngayon is si global score. Yung value na ngayon ng global score. So, ang mangyayari ngayon is, halimbawa, ayan na siya, no? After ng conditional statement natin, whether pass or failed man yan, okay, i-store niya yung score papunta sa database. So, yun yung concept, no? So, let's just check whether if our application is working or not. So, eto, I'll just refresh yung aking companion app. So, ayan, we have Juan de la Cruz dito, no? So, for this particular instance, I'll just copy or gagamitin ko pa rin yung same user na Juan de la Cruz. Then, year in section is BSIT 1Z. 1Z. Okay. I'll start the quiz. So, as you can see, 0 yung naka-record natin na score dito, no? So, check natin kung mag-update siya. So, I'll be adding the 3 correct answers. So, shape of the earth, it's sphere. Submit. Correct. Next. Color is blue. Submit. Correct. Next. Okay, so this is 50 kilos. Submit natin. That's correct. If I click next, ayan siya. Magja-jump na tayo ngayon dito. So, nilabas niya yung score ko. It's 3. Tapos, ang tawag dito, ang label ko is passed. So, makikita nyo rin dito sa database, nag-update na yan from 0 to 3. Ayun na siya, no? So, anong nangyari? Bakit nawala yung aking exit button? So, I'll just double check. Ito. Ayan. Again, I'll just try, no? So, pakita lang natin yung Firebase natin. Ayan. So, 3. Gawin ko naman for this particular instance, 2 lang yung kukunin ko na score. So, Juan de la Cruz. Tapos, BSIT 1Z. Again, no, guys, for this particular example, static lang yung aking entry. Ibig sabihin, isang entry lang to kasi yung nilagay ko dito, eto, static siya na user 1. Hindi, walang auto-increment kay Firebase. Kung gusto nyo magkaroon ng auto-increment yung mga entries nyo, ibig sabihin, every type nyo ng student record, dumadagdag sila, kailangan nyong gawing dynamic itong tag na to. So, kailangan nyo to gawan ng method or gawan ng function para mag-auto-increment. So, kayo nang bahalang mag-create nun. If you want to recreate this or you want to create a project similar to this, no? Again, no, walang auto-increment kay Firebase. Kailangan nyo gawan ng method or function ito para mag-auto-increment siya para yung records nyo, imbis na ino-overwrite, dumadagdag. So, as of the moment, for this particular example, static muna yung ilalagay ko. Okay, so, I'll start the quiz. Again, no, ang score ko is, ayan, 0 siya. As of the moment, 2 yung tatargetin ko. So, sphere. Submit. Next. Color is blue. Okay, that's correct. Tapos, ito, 50 lang yung ilalagay ko para mali siya. So, submit. Wrong. I'll click next. Ang score ko is 2. So, ayan. Mag-update yan. So, pass pa rin ako. It's 2/3. So, kapag kinlik ko ngayon yung exit, syempre, mag-exit na yan. Again, no, hindi ko naman matetest itong exit, guys, no? Kasi kapag nandun tayo sa MIT companion app, hindi niya ma-execute yung exit. So, i-ano nyo na lang, export nyo na lang siya as APK para ma-check nyo. So, i-refresh natin ulit. Ang gagawin ko naman is check ko ngayon kung halimbawa wala akong tamang sagot. Pass pa rin ba yung ilalagay niya? Ayan, so type ako ng kahit ano. Para zero lahat. Submit next. Ayan. Failed siya. So, this is the entry ngayon na nilagay ko kanina. So, now, this is a really simple mobile application or simple quiz mobile application that demonstrates yung ilan do sa mga requirements na hinihingi ko sa inyo for your final requirement. So, as you can see, I believe ang wala lang dito dun sa final requirement nyo is the responsive design. So, the orientation. So, I was able to create one of the CRUD that will be to create. I'm able to create the data, no? I was also able to implement yung database. Okay, so meron naman tayong Firebase. I was also able to implement yung EPO. So yung mga inputs ko kanina for the student names, created the records, and yung mga input ko sa mga quiz kanina became scores. So yun yung EPO na sinasabi ko. So again, no, this is a really sabihin na natin a really simple version or a really simple demonstration of how to create an application. So what type of particular application? It's a quiz application. So again, no, I believe ang kulang na lang dito for this application na to will be yung some functionalities of the CRUD and the responsive design. So the EPO, one of the CRUD, tsaka yung Firebase was implemented on this mobile application. So para dun sa final requirement nyo, syempre medyo mas malaki lang ng konti dito sa application na to. Kasi I believe, yun nga, ang kulang na lang dito is 3 functions ng CRUD and yung responsive design. So that will be it for our module number 6, no? If you have questions for this module, okay, so kindly send me na lang a private message. If you also want a copy nitong project na to, I could also give you a copy of this project. Mag-send na lang po kayo ng message sa akin. Okay, I could provide you the copy ng project file na to and yung copy ng APK for this application. Mag-message na lang kayo kung gusto nyong makita yung project file and the APK. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. Thank you.